Larry June Day.
There's actually a committee on this. I learned all about this.
What do you mean?
The National Date Calendar. There's a committee. I think they're in Minnesota, and you have to apply.
Thanks, eh?
Yeah, you have to sign some sort of an application and send it to them to make your thing a day, National Tomato Day or whatever. Like, I don't know why people sit around and send this stuff in. I don't know what the process is to approve it or not. But yeah, if you go to the National Date Calendar, there's at least 7 or 8 things every day.
Really?
Every day. Promise you. Huh. Yeah. Like, I'll try to look up what today is right now.
Would you rather have a
National Day? But I mean, I guarantee you there's like 5 others.
All right, let me ask you guys this question, because I've thought about this. Would you rather have a national or citywide Mark Willard Day? Would you rather have keys to the city, or would you rather have something named after you? A park bench, a park.
That's a great question.
A street sign.
I've never understood what keys to the city actually. Like, I get the honor, but like, what is the key to? Like, what are you unlocking?
When you get pulled over in the city and they say license and registration, you pull out your keys to the city and they go, "Oh, sorry about that."
Oh, really? For real? Or are you joking?
No, of course I'm joking.
That's when you start name dropping, and then you realize how green the officer is.
I got some oceanfront property in Arizona I'd like you to look at it in case you're free.
Calendar, February.
The answer is a permanent fixture, like a bench or a street or something that's there all the time.
Yeah, I would want a street.
365.
I would want a street, too. Streets, that's it.
My dad has told me that when he passes away, he wants to be cremated. He wants me to sprinkle his ashes in a bunker somewhere, okay, either at Harding or Northwood, so that people could take a couple of extra hacks on him after he's gone.
Nice.
Right? And then he wants to obviously go over the Golden Gate Bridge and some other places, but that's what he wants done once he's neither here
My
nor
father's ashes are scattered in the winner's circle at the Humboldt County Fair.
That's cool.
I love that.
He would go up to Ferndale every year. That was the one vacation he took. Every single year, our families never took vacation. We didn't have a lot of money, so the one vacation that he would take every year, he would go to Ferndale with his best friend and go to the races every single year in August. So when he passed, we took him up there, and we now have the Dwayne Dibley Memorial.
Yes.
Every August, we go up there, and, well, the ashes are already in the winner's circle, but we have a race in his honor.
That's really cool.
What would you want?
Yeah.
What would you want, Shasky? Street?
No, I want a park named after me. You know what I mean? Like Willy Woo Wang Park is one of my favorite parks in San Francisco. It has one of the coolest things because that's where I'm at. Like I'm at the park. I want a diamond or a field or something named after me in the city because that to me is like the ultimate reverence. You know what I mean?
Street.
We have the Franceschi Gym in St. Cecilia's, for example.
Right.
There's what did they call the City College one? Come on, the famous coach.
George Rush Field.
George Rush Field, but also
George
basketball.
Rush Stadium. Brad Dugan Court.
Brad Dugan Court. Things like that. Like I find that to be super
Because they
cool.
would stick after you're gone.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
By the way, today is National Supermarket Employee Day.
No, it's not.
I worked in a supermarket for
These are
many
all
years.
made up
It's
things.
Ash Wednesday. Today is National California Day.
Yeah.
So California's not national, but
Sure,
it's National California Day.
Of course.
Well, we are as big as a nation.
Today is
Fifth largest
National
economy.
Cook a Sweet Potato Day.
Of course.
February 22nd.
We will make sweet potatoes for the baby today.
And as you mentioned, Bonte, National Margarita Day. There's your National Date Calendar, February 22nd, 2023.
Shout out to all the supermarket workers. I worked at Costco for a couple months.
10
Shout out
years,
to them.
me, in the grocery store.
Yeah, I worked at Safeway for about a year and a half. I got
What'd you
passed
do?
over for checker. I was a courtesy clerk, and the manager was having relations with the girl who was below me on the seniority list. And then it came time for checker promotion time. I was 18 or 19 on a fast track, and she got elevated above me.
Wow.
I went he was cheating.
They didn't let me be a checker at
Oh, my
Costco.
God.
I had to like load the carts because they're like, you're so fast at loading the carts and you help the people quick. You're really fast. And then one day, this manager put me outside by myself to retrieve all the carts in the downtown parking lot in Costco. You know, there's 2 levels.
In the city?
And it was raining in the city, and it was raining, and that was my last day. I was like, the hell with this.
Yeah. That's a good Costco, by the way. That's a sneaky good Costco down there on like 11th and like Brandon.
You do look
It's
like
a pain to try to get.
I was like,
parking and
No,
whatnot.
you'd be
No,
good
they
with
have
those
items
big,
you can't get in the East Bay.
Those
Gotcha.
orange
Yeah,
flatbeds
Right,
that
those
people
orange
take out to
flatbeds,
their
yeah.
cars. Yeah,
I was pushed
I bet
those
you
and
could
load-
shove those around a little
Dude, I was
bit.
shoving them around. They were like, man, they're so fast to do it. I was like, oh, do something else. And then it was like, all right, we'll go retrieve carts outside. That was it. That was
Costco pays pretty well, I'm told.
It did pay well.
Yeah.
I was like 19 working there. It was paying well.
Yeah.
Nice checks.
That's the come up.
Probably regret that.
We used to help old ladies at Tower Market.
Still hiring,
Out to their
You're
car.
done at 10 a.m.
I'm sure
9
some people
a.m.
would love for me to quit this job.
Yeah, go. I mean, they're open right now.
When I was a bagger, like we would have to help old ladies out to the car all the time, and they would open up their purse strings and they give you a nickel, right? And every now and then you'd get an actual dollar. And you're like, thank you so much. It's like, really appreciate this. Is going to a 40-ouncer later
Totally.
on. And that was like the highlight of the day, was going outside of the store, because then you could do whatever the hell you want. You wander around the block a little before you have to come back in. It was all about wasting the time.
Oh man, if people knew what went on in the backs of grocery stores and drugstores, and
Have you seen Waiting, the movie?
My first no,
It's a classic. Ryan Reynolds.
my first job was at Long's drugstore in
really?
Foster City, so
Yeah,
not a
Long's.
grocery store.
I remember
but-
that.
Yeah,
Long's.
you know those swinging doors, man.
Yeah.
When you go through those swinging doors, the movie should be called The Swinging Doors. When you go through the swinging doors, stuff goes down back there, man.
Yeah.
It goes down.
So what about Brock Purdy? What about this news with Brock Purdy?
It's not good.
Not good.
It's not good.
Really?
Well, let's put it this way. Dr. Brian Feely is going to join us at 11:30, so it's a good day for Cleared to Play, because you want to know if something like this falls within the realm of what's normal or understandable. And our understanding, without having had a lengthy conversation with him, but a short one, this is not normal. This is not normal. So what's going on in there that they don't know about based on MRIs? I guess maybe something. Maybe something. And so how that, I know one of the things we're going to sort of bat around here at the start of the show is free agency is just a few weeks away. So how does this potentially change the way the 49ers, and they won't necessarily know all the answers yet. Maybe they will. Maybe he's now going to have the surgery next week, and then that's it. Maybe he'll have it next Thursday, and not much has changed. But in a pretty quick way, it seems they need to know what they don't know. And they need to know if Brock's going to be okay by week 1, and they need to know if Trey Lance is going to be a better player than they thought he was last year.
Doesn't this start with, we don't even know what's inside the elbow itself? Like, forget the inflammation portion of it. Every person who sounds like they know whatever they're talking about has said, like, well, we don't know until we get in there. And then you'll see, like, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, like all these estimations. I feel like we've jumped the shark on trying to, like, predict when he'll be back and throw these hard dates out there. And I've been frustrated the whole time. Like, let's have the surgery. Let's open it up first. And then I know we always have to put the cart before the horse because we're trying to pontificate.
Of course.
I just never understood the timetable portion of it. Like, we don't know.
Well, the team came out and they were pretty clear in their thinking of 6 months, which tells you that it's probably not a complete Tommy John. But then again, why is it now an inflammation sensation that has us, looking at no surgery yet? Until next week at the earliest. They're going to reconvene next week and see if the swelling has gone down. And then maybe at that point, go ahead and let's say he has surgery a week from today, which would be March 1st. And you look at 6 months from March 1st, that's now September 1st. And the season starts on September 7th, which the Thursday night game, which they won't be playing in. But if he is, fully cleared to play September 1st and you have a game in 12 days, can he rightly be ready to go and be playing
Feels
pro football?
aggressive.
It does, yeah.
Right? And that's kind of what we've been saying the whole time.
Especially if he's a long-term fixture, right? Because a lot of
That's
people
my
believe
thing.
Brock Purdy's the guy now. You've heard from players, you heard from coaches.
The Niners believe that.
The Niners, exactly. They believe he's a guy. So
then
why
what's
rush
the
it?
rush? Like,
Well,
why
the
are
other
we so
thing-
worried
but
about
Is
week
it because
one?
Trey's that bad?
But when we say 6 months, it's like, sometimes we do that, I think, with a little bit too much Sharpie. It's not like, okay, if he has the surgery March 1st, he's ready September 1st.
That's what I'm
No, he
saying.
could be ready August 15th.
Or October 12th.
Or October.
Thank you, Dibs.
But the repair, remember what Kyle talked about at the closing presser was the fact that they were excited to find out that the 6 month timetable meant like that's when it's a memory. In other words, he's throwing in 3 months. He's throwing, like, if it's the repair. And I know you're frustrated because there's two different kinds of surgeries.
Yeah, but
and
Mark,
they have a
follow
timeline.
the Niners for the last 10 years.
Well, of course.
Name an injury where a guy came back early.
They not only that.
Not one.
Not only that, they have the worst injury luck of any team in sports.
And I'm not trying to rip them. It's football. But Kinlaw's knee, DeForest Buckner, Armstead's leg, Ward, like every single guy. Trey Lance had multiple setbacks in his. We do this like this guy will be back on this date, and it's like inevitably, no, he's not going to be back on that date. It's actually weeks after that.
Warren Sharp put out this thing this morning, and it was about torn ACLs. And what he spotlighted was that the New York Giants, and this is going to make sense to people because of the stadium in which they play.
MetLife, yeah.
Yeah, however, the Jets have not had nearly as many problems. But he says the Giants have had as many players tear their ACL in the last 2 years as the Chiefs, Steelers, Patriots, Falcons, Bears, Jets, Dolphins, Saints, Texans, and Jaguars combined. So he's spotlighting the last 2 years. But he's quote tweeting a chart that shows torn ACLs since 2013. And it shows all the teams. Who do you think is number one since 2013?
The team that drafts guys with torn ACLs?
I don't need to tell you. It's by far and away the San Francisco 49ers. Number one.
Falky's having fun in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Does that count Reggie Bush on the concrete in New Orleans?
No, St. Louis.
Oh, my
The
fault.
James Edwards Dome.
Okay, when he got off the field.
You're right. It was a dome.
Yeah, exactly.
I knew you'd love that.
I think it was the Edwards J Dome, but the fact that you said Edwards, you get
James Edwards played for the Pistons in the 90s, but it was good effort.
with the crazy mustache.
Yeah, exactly.
He played for Utah because when he was born, his face turned blue or something, right? Wasn't that the story? Blue
I don't
Edwards?
know the story. I don't know where the
Because
name
I had
came
his
from.
card, NBA
Yeah.
Hoops. I'm going to have to
James
look this
Edwards,
up.
NBA champ with the Detroit
Yeah,
Pistons.
exactly.
Had the crazy handlebar mustache, right?
Sure did, yeah. And
Now it's called the Dome at America Center in St. Louis.
Of course it is.
Nobody plays there anymore.
No, your knowledge of stadium names and high school
disease.
nicknames is ridiculous.
It's unreal.
I was
not-
actually talking to Ray Ratto yesterday about a game he refereed, St. Joe's and Salesian. Because you know, Ray, you guys don't know this, but Ray Ratto was an elite
I've heard
high school
stories.
official.
I've heard
And
stories.
He was telling me about a game, 35 years ago at Salesian. And I said, used to be the Chieftains. And I was proud of myself because now they're the Pride.
Right.
But they were the Chieftains back then. And so I kind of had a Bonte moment yesterday where I was pulling a nickname out of nowhere.
like
A story about Ray Ratto I heard when he was refereeing. Coach was yelling at him, "Why don't you just give me a T? Why don't you just give me a T?" Ray Ratto looked out a blue whistle, said, "Okay." Just gave him a T.
Gave him the baby
I
T.
was like, "Oh, that sounds like Ray Ratto."
That's perfect.
Blue
I would pay for
Edwards.
you and Ray Ratto be a ref to get. Oh man, you should get Ray Ratto out there in Marin. That'd
Oh,
be
yeah.
awesome.
It'd be fun. I'd ref alone, though. I can't have a partner.
Solo Vinte.
Yeah,
He insisted, Blue Edwards insisted that his sister started calling him Blue after she saw him choking as a baby and his face turned blue.
But
There you
didn't they
go.
spell it differently than the color blue?
It was
Like the cheese?
B-L-U-E. That's
Oh,
what I'm
B-L-E.
saying.
B-L-E-U?
It was? I
Like
thought
the
it was
cheese?
EU. Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
So, do the Niners, if Brock Purdy can't go the first month of the season, do you bring in a veteran?
Yes, you're bringing in what I like to call a QB 2.5. So it's not a QB 3. And I know I heard you earlier, Joe, about QB 1 and
drives me
QB 2.
nuts.
I know what you're saying. And
It's like saying
get
they
it.
have an ace.
No, and you are RH2, radio
Thank you.
host 2.
I don't like that. No, we don't do that on our show. No A
No,
chair,
you
no
do
B
do
chair.
that because
No.
you're the king of all media.
No,
you can't
I'm
be the king
No, I'm
and not
the
be
king.
RH1.
I'm not the king. You guys are doing too. Like people were calling me the king of Cabo. I was like, dude, calm down.
The king of Cabo.
In Cabo. No, you called yourself the king, which is why
No,
we all
he
now call
started it.
you
He called me the king.
You have a bit called King of the Hill. I
Well,
mean,
I mean-
I'm a listener. I'm a P1. I'm excited. Anyway,
Not a P2.
You're RH1, you're RH2, whatever.
Exactly.
And Spadoni, when he wants to chime in, he and Lubman can fight it out for RH3.
Sasky,
Yes.
we're like Smoltz and Glavin. All right, we're one. We're both aces.
The one,
You just pitch one day, I pitch the next
the
day.
one always says this. Oh, I don't like the numbers,
No,
so that they can look self-deprecating.
I'm done, Drysdale.
Steiny loves to
and
call
you can
himself
be
the one.
Sandy
So,
Koufax.
or Steiny, I'm the one.
Dude,
no, don't do that.
Yesterday,
You know?
Willard's like,
Well,
maybe for 20 minutes we can be Dibs and Willard, but not
Yeah,
1 second
we're not-
longer.
No, we're not doing it for a whole
Because
show
on
or something
Monday,
crazy like that.
they split it. It was Steiny and Willard,
yeah, I
and it was
heard.
Willard and Steiny. And so I'm like, where do I get my billing? He's like, you just stay over there,
weren't on the
RH2.
show. Yeah, like I'm not going to take the. It was afternoon. That's not our show anymore.
Well, we're
And
thinking
trust me, I'm
Anyway.
not calling myself the king. These guys do it.
Well,
I don't
what
do
we
it.
were
Anyway,
I just
Your
play
Honor,
into the
if
bit.
I
Oh,
may,
sure you
if
do.
I
I
may,
don't
Your
like it.
Honor, they're looking for a QB 2.5. So I believe, and we're going to find out how they feel about Trey Lance, because if Brock has the surgery in a week or two, whatever, and the thinking is he won't be ready for August, well, it's Trey Lance's job to win, unless they don't believe in Trey Lance, in which case they're going to bring in somebody who can be there just in case Trey Lance is not ready to be QB1.
This is where I really you wish OTAs was before free agency because you say QB 2.5, it might be QB 1.5.
Exactly.
Right, so like and that's the answer we're gonna get when I see
I
this.
knew that's coming.
No, when the Brock news to me ends up being more about Trey Lance because in theory, well now Trey's your quarterback. in theory. And that should be fine based on his draft position, based on where he was on the chart at the start of last year. But then you read Albert Breer just last week, and it's an admission by the 49ers that, A, Trey doesn't run as well as we thought. Trey's not as accurate as we thought. All of these things. Okay, but Trey probably going to get into the lab this offseason, and right? So can he improve? Can he Jordan Poole? Can he come out and be something? They're going to want to know that. Can Trey Lance just be what he should be in a situation like this, which is now you're the starting quarterback? But who they sign is going to tell us whether they think that's even possible.
So what? So who are the levels? Like, where's the line of demarcation where you get the indication they don't believe in Trey Lance?
An
Like,
example would
who's
be,
that quarterback?
do you go get Nate Sudfeld again,
Teddy Bridgewater,
or do you go get like Matt Ryan or Andy Dalton?
Oh my gosh,
that's what I'm talking about.
Is Matt Ryan even a starter?
Well,
no,
like,
he's not.
Is he even viewed as a starter?
I mean,
No.
Kyle Shanahan
Oh, my
might view him
God.
as with that. They won an
he got
MVP
replaced
together.
by
If you
Tannehill.
don't believe in Trey Lance, then yes, he's a starter.
Okay.
If Brock's not ready till October, and you don't believe in Trey Lance, then do you want to really go get Mullins or Beathard again, or do you want to get somebody who actually
I
has
would
started?
say, like,
That's going to
Teddy
answer your
Bridgewater's
question.
on.
I would say Ryan Tannehill may be that guy.
Okay, sure.
Dalton,
I would
but
agree
that's
with you.
Dalton, Matt Ryan, those dudes are cooked.
Yeah, I think they're all
What
done.
about Jameis Winston?
But coaches.
I like
coaches,
Jameis.
coaches are going to value people who quote, know their system.
Right.
That's
Right.
why the Niners went and got Josh Johnson. So you can bring up names like Tannehill and Jameis Winston, and Shanahan might be like, no.
but see,
Give me Matt
that's-
Ryan who can walk in here and know exactly what I'm talking about.
That's the one issue I have with Shanahan. He's so rigid when it comes to his system. You got to know my system. Why don't you go out there and teach some guys your system? You got all summer. You got an OTAs,
do you?
would start April 17th.
That's kind of
Give
a
the guys a
focused thing.
playbook.
Like, I mean, Trey Lance, in theory, should be your starting
He
quarterback
should
this
be.
summer.
He should be. But
Yeah.
if you're bringing a veteran in, you're worried about, well, he doesn't really know my system. He doesn't play my system. Well, teach him your system. You have all summer. Give the guy the playbook. Let him learn it. You sign the guy. You believe he has a good IQ. Teach him. That's the problem with Trey Lance. When
But
we
he-
hear all the reports that, well, he doesn't run like we thought he did. That's bad scouting.
But
That's on you.
a guy may or may not pick it up, and you don't want to dedicate that time because that time might be dedicated to Trey Lance. Like bringing a quarterback along and making him your starter in week one. That is a very detailed, intricate thing.
Mark, I want to pause right there. The one thing that I've heard consistently when we do these interviews with the old school coaches that I revere, I'm overhyping this. Mike Holmgren, different than Shanahan, and everyone takes their approach as different, is a teacher. He was very big on, I will teach you. That's my job. I come from education, and I'm going to put my arm around you, and I'll take the guy with the highest upside or whatever, and I will teach that guy how to play.
We just saw Andy Reid win a Super Bowl. He's a teacher.
Exactly. And so that might be one of my biggest sticking points. As I love so many things Kyle does. One of my biggest issues, I'm not sure he likes teaching. And that's a problem for me at the quarterback position.
I don't know that he doesn't. What's the evidence that he doesn't?
Well, because you talk about how difficult his system is and it takes way too long. That's the job. I'm paying you $20 million bucks. Teach, dog.
No.
Like,
But
get the most
you.
out of the position.
But he has.
Who?
Kyle's had tremendous.
Has he taught Jimmy Garoppolo to play better quarterback today than when he was?
I think he
5 years
moved
ago?
on from Jimmy because he felt like they capped out on what Jimmy's ability was to learn.
And I think, I would
And
say,
I
they
think
meet
to
in the
Shasky's
middle. I think
point,
they meet
though,
in the
to
middle.
Shasky's point, Jimmy Garoppolo regressed. And it was like, well, teach him how to be better, to Shasky's point.
Or work a
Rutger
little
High-
bit more.
Yeah, like,
I don't know that he
why does it have to
regressed.
be
Did he
my
regress?
system?
Did he regress?
I think so.
Was he better today than he was 5 years ago?
I mean, I could argue that his best 6-game stretch was his last 6-game stretch.
I would also argue that's the best roster and best team that they've had
That's a
over
fair
that
point. I guess
that
I'm
time.
just having trouble with, are we making the point that Kyle doesn't do a good job of getting stuff out of quarterbacks? Because I think the quarterbacks around the league.
No, this conversation
argue
started
that.
with basically, if you bring in a veteran, why does it have to be Matt Ryan, a guy who
doesn't
knows your
have to
system,
be.
who looks
Doesn't
cooked,
have to be.
instead of getting a
It
guy
doesn't.
who's a high ceiling, saying,
You're
you know what,
limiting
I'm going to
yourself.
mold this guy like a ball of clay.
No,
You're
I'm
basically
with
getting
him
a
to
guy
learn
to
my
come in
system.
and be a placeholder because
Right.
you believe that Brock Purdy is your guy, and whether or not you agree with their assessment, that's their assessment. They believe he's the guy. So when he gets healthy, he's the guy again. So you're not bringing in somebody like Garoppolo or Derek Carr, somebody who can come in and really be your quarterback for 3 or 4 years. It's a placeholder. So if you want a placeholder, would you rather games left in him?
What would Sean Payton do? Sean Payton has brought in so many different quarterbacks, and they've all excelled in his system. He doesn't do this.
Sean
we
Payton
do
won
this
with one guy.
They won with Teddy Bridgewater 7 in a row. He did it with Taysom Hill. They won like 8 games with Taysom Hill.
I want to go to Andy
Kyle
Reid.
Shanahan did it with Brock Purdy.
Andy Reid.
Like, I guess.
And no one else.
Sean, your Sean Payton list is very short. Who's done it with 8 different quarterbacks?
Well, let's go to Andy Reid.
You know what I mean?
Andy, I put Shanahan.
And he's the cream of the crop.
We all say Shanahan's a top 5 head coach, top 5 play caller. Andy Reid is right now at the top of his game. But you look at Andy Reid, he took Donovan McNabb way back when we all said, oh, he's a runner. Taught him the West Coast offense, and he flourished. Michael Vick, who we all thought, man, he can't play from the pocket, had a damn near MVP season under Andy Reid because Andy Reid took the time to teach him. Alex Smith looked like damaged goods. I'm not going to say damaged goods, but he goes to Kansas City. We're like, he can't run Andy Reid's system.
But you're throwing about quarterbacks out there who have the exact same resume as Jimmy Garoppolo. Donovan, almost. Alex Smith, almost.
No one.
Garoppolo.
No one is taking Jimmy G over Donovan McNabb.
I didn't say
Hall
that.
of Famer.
I didn't say that. I said the results. The results are the same. Andy Reid went to Kansas City, got run out of Philadelphia because they couldn't get a Super Bowl win. No?
But to say that the way that they played the game, like just because the winning and losing, winning is not a quarterback.
I'm not saying anything.
No, I didn't say what you think I said.
No,
so
I'm
just
listening.
pull yourself up off the ground.
No, I'm listening. I'm waiting for you to finish this
I did
one.
not statistically compare
this good to
Donovan
be
McNabb
back.
to Jimmy Garoppolo.
I know you didn't, but you said the results are the same.
But
is that what we're going to do?
They went to a Super Bowl and lost. That's the same result. My point is you're giving Andy Reid. What if I did this for you next year? Okay, I'm going to give you Andy Reid gets this 49er quarterback situation. And Kyle Shanahan gets Patrick Mahomes. Who do you like?
Andy Reid has won the AFC West.
Answer my question.
Time out. They had the number 1 overall pick when he went to Kansas City. They won the AFC West 10 straight years.
And the 49ers have been to 3 or 4 NFC title games. So
I agreed.
My question is...
I'm taking Andy Reid.
You're taking Andy Reid with Brock/Trey/ I don't know.
Andy Reid's done
Kyle
it.
Shanahan.
He has won 100 games with 2 organizations.
Andy Reid's
he
phenomenal.
is going straight to the Hall of Fame.
Andy Reid, of course he is. Andy Reid's phenomenal, but you're not going to at least acknowledge that he has Patrick Mahomes.
And he gets credit for developing, drafting, and identifying Patrick Mahomes into what he is. I do not believe Patrick Mahomes. He's great. Do I think Patrick Mahomes with... I'm just going to throw out Urban Meyer would be good?
I think if Mahomes were on the 49ers, I think the Niners would be the most overwhelming Super Bowl favorite in the history of the league.
Are we sure he wouldn't be furious with his turnover ratio early on in his career?
And I know
his
Dibs
ability
is about to say
deep?
he'd be hurt by week 3. But anyway.
I watch Andy Reid.
All you have to do is look at the track record for quarterback injuries in San Francisco, and you don't have to blame Shanahan to know that quarterbacks have been injured. All I'm going to say about Shanahan is this, and if I can just get in for a moment, guys.
Go ahead.
If I can just get some crumbs here.
Go ahead.
Because I'm RH4 when it comes to the changeover, and that's fine. If you look at the history of teams that have made multiple conference championship games in a 4-year span, Kyle Shanahan might be the only coach ever to do it with multiple quarterbacks.
Oh, I agree.
He gets credit for that.
For sure.
We can discount him in terms of, is he Andy Reid? No, he's not Andy Reid. And if Kyle Shanahan, and by the way, I just watched that Super Bowl back. It was on, I think, last night or the night before on
Super Bowl
NFL Network.
Which
yes,
one?
And
Niners Chiefs?
Supper's like, why are you watching this again? You know how it ends. I'm like, babe, be quiet. Niners are up 10 right now.
How good was he in the red zone, Andy Reid, when they ran that trick play?
He was great. But
he was awesome.
It just, there was a couple of plays. There's 6 plays that if the Niners get one of them to go their way, they win that game.
Win the Super Bowl.
So I watched the game again, and Supper's like, would you turn this off?
Can you believe I watched it in Cabo?
I can't believe you watched it in
chance to
Cabo.
sleep, and I was watching it in Cabo. Like, this is ridiculous.
You guys are crazy.
I look at Shanahan in terms of the quarterback, and whoever he brings in, if Brock's not ready and he doesn't believe in Trey, whoever he brings in, it's going to be somebody who I think can fit in this system. And I don't know if we can rightly say that Kyle Shanahan isn't teaching these guys. Brock Purdy went from Mr. Irrelevant, a guy that nobody wanted, and the guy came in and won 7 games in a row.
He did. But and to your point, I made the argument that Shanahan has probably had the inferior quarterback in every playoff game. He's probably had the worst quarterback in all the games. When you look at Super Bowl 54, Aaron Rodgers in the title game, hell, Kirk Cousins, who we loved over Jimmy G. So he does get credit for that.
Matt Ryan against Tom Brady when he was a coordinator.
He does get credit for that. But I'm with Shasky here. Well, I would agree with Andy Reid. I don't know if Mahomes is Mahomes under Shanahan. I just don't know.
Is Montana without Walsh?
Right. Steve Young wasn't without Walsh.
Brady without Belichick. I mean, we can play this game on every
I watched
quarterback.
Andy Reid come into Candlestick Park with Coy Dittmer on Monday Night Football as double-digit underdogs and cook the Niners with Gio Garcia. I was like, damn.
The answer is always a little bit of both. We can have examples like Kurt Warner, who was great with the Rams and the Cardinals and was junk in between with the Giants.
Yeah, with the hurt
So
hand.
yes, the context of coaching and teammates matter. But then the Brady example being the flagship answer of great quarterbacks are great quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes would travel to any uniform.
No, I know he'd be really
Any
good, but I don't know
uniform.
if he'd be this version of himself. I look at Steph Curry.
I think
Would
it'd be
Steph
pretty
Curry
good.
be the Steph Curry he is today if he didn't have the Mark Jackson, empowerment? Because I think there's a lot of coaches that would have suppressed the way they played the game.
As great as Jordan was, he needed Phil Jackson. It takes that next step. Same
no
as Kobe
one's saying
and
he's
Shaq.
not good. I'm just saying this version, to think it's a carbon copy, that I don't.
You
I don't
can say
subscribe
this
to.
about almost any
I
athlete
agree,
in
no
the
doubt.
two sports. Baseball is different because it's so individualized that I'm a pitcher and the
Trout
mound
would
is
be
the same.
Trout.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
And
agree with that.
So let me ask this: in this sense,
I agree,
if
Dibs.
they did, I agree with you too, Dibs. You bring in Winston or Dalton. Who would you rather have? Who would you rather have at quarterback if you're moving forward?
Winston,
right?
Dalton.
So, but Dalton would know the system, right? He would have the leg up because you would think he's smarter than James.
I want a
Winston.
guy who doesn't make mistakes.
I don't know
Jameis
who's
Winston
smarter,
is a
but
turnover waiting to happen.
Winston,
That to me is
that's my
the
answer too.
tiebreaker.
You know, Peyton
Inter-
Manning had more interceptions at this point of his career than Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
It's
Boy,
crazy
that's
to
a lot
say.
more
I did not know
throws,
that.
though,
Right.
too, didn't he?
I did not know
Not
that.
more
Jameis
throws?
threw it a lot. Jameis threw it a lot, Tim.
Boy, he
You
has
look
a
at those,
player.
had a
look at
throw
those
every
Colts
time.
teams that Peyton had early in his career. He had nothing. He had no
Yeah,
O-line.
Marvin Harrison.
Yeah.
And Marshall Falk. He had
Not
Andrew
from when he was
James.
a rookie.
Yeah, I don't know who's smarter. I just know who throws more picks. I would say Dalton. I get where you're coming from.
Right.
Winston feels more talented.
I want the more talented player, and I'm putting it on the coach who makes all the money in the world and is one of the great minds in the game to say, Coach, this out
You
of
know
him.
what's funny
Sean
though?
Payton and Winston had a lot of success.
We had this conversation last week about the definition of the word talented, which we take that to mean like your raw ball skills. But talent is also your processing, your decision making, you're not turning the ball. Like that's talent also. That's one of the things when I look at Brock Purdy, when he walks in a room, no one's ever going to be like, oh my God, talented. What, is there arm talent? Is there leg talent? Is there anything? Is there physical? There's nothing. But there's obviously a lot of talent there because of his processing, his decision making, his leadership skills. So I don't know who's more talented.
Did anything in the last 6 weeks with Brock Purdy concern you? Because the first halves were rough, and there was a lot of, as I say, dare I say, Jimmy O no throws from Brock Purdy.
Well, you're asking
you hear
it,
Greg Cosell.
So you answer it. Like what? I would say no, not concerned.
I would not be shocked if we
There's
saw
questions.
the best of Brock Purdy. That's where I'm at.
That's hard to believe in someone's first 8 games. Like, has anyone ever had their first 8 games be their best?
Kaepernick.
Well, if
Sean Hill.
if that is the best of Brock Purdy, is that good enough to get you to a conference championship game? The answer is yes.
If he could sustain, yeah, hell yeah.
But
hell
I mean,
yeah.
if that's the best
Hell
of Brock
yeah.
Purdy, does that mean that he can't be that again? I mean, that might be where Brock Purdy is. That might be the quarterback that he is. And if you're surrounded by all this talent
Yeah.
and a coach who is among the 2 or 3 best play callers in football and a nasty defense, that might be good enough.
I agree with that. There is something, though, about sustainability, and that's why I caution myself on, for the next 10 years. Like, dude, 10 years is like, we're talking multiple NFL lifetimes.
Well,
10 years.
every
5
athlete-
years feels like multiple NFL
Right.
timelines.
Every athlete.
I'm just
when
going
they-
year to year.
Yeah, once they come out and show themselves, then there's a scouting report.
Yes. Mhm.
So, I don't know, what is I would love to know. What does a defensive coordinator see when they look at Brock Purdy?
So we did this-
What
we did
would
this-
they throw at him next year?
Mac Jones is a good example. Right now, they're saying Mac Jones could be on the move. Belichick doesn't like the way he's acting. If I would have just took the temperature of most people, we'd say, yeah, pretty limited, but feels like he might be right now the best player coming out of that draft. 1 year later, everyone's like, totally out on Mac Jones. I'm all in on Trevor Lawrence, even though the two of them had obviously very different circumstances that they inherited. So, things move quick in the NFL. I don't know.
Zach Wilson's already getting run out of New York.
And you talk about 10 years, who's more likely to get a second contract with the Niners, Brock Purdy or Trey Lance?
Brock. Right now, it's Brock.
Even with
Right
the
now it's
UCL
Brock,
injury?
Over Trey Lance? Yes.
I don't even see. I can't
Brock,
bet on
6
either
games.
of them.
I was going to
Brock,
say, is it Brock, Trey, or neither?
Neither. I would say neither.
Most likely
This
to
time
get
they
a
have
second
Tommy
contract.
John.
I'm leaning Brock. Brock's put enough.
Yeah, but Tommy John doesn't kill your career.
It doesn't kill it, but man, this core may not be the same by the time Brock comes around.
He's only 1 year in.
You know, he's only 1 year in.
Like 8 games in.
The decision on Brock is still 3 to 4 years away.
I don't like doing hypotheticals, but if he misses the year,
because you wouldn't have him play that final year. You wouldn't have him play that lame duck.
Oh, right, he's not a 5-year deal.
So Trey Lance is really the same for Trey Lance because Trey Lance got the 5-year deal. So really, it's a 2-year conversation for both.
Yeah, you'd have to make a quick decision, but I'm looking at the core group. We may not have Debo here for a long time. May not have George Kittle here for a long time.
Trent Williams,
may not have Trent Williams, CMC.
Yeah.
So he may come back to a different core group, and he may look worse. And you're saying to yourself, boy, was it Brock or was it the core around him? Was it the team around him? I don't know.
Well, this is why I want to see more of all of those guys. Like, I love what Brock saw, and everything I've seen from him, I feel great about it. I still want to see more.
All right. Hey, good to see you guys. Willard and Dibs
Welcome
coming
back,
up.
buddy.
Everything Willard Dibs coming up, sponsored by AC Transit.